remember to, after reading the caption of the broadcast, read the description of the broadcast as well, then like it and share it, to invite your friends and your not so friendly friends and tell them to join us. Because Maiyegun today. So tonight, we are going to Anambra. A few days ago, there was this report after the public expose on the atrocities of the armed gang called policemen working for the Tiger Base in Owerri, Imo State. It was like opening the Pandora box. Victims after victims, their families, everyone was like taken to the social media to share their own experience or experiences in the hands of these armed supposed policemen. In fact, the expose got to the point where the main characters in these atrocities, like they were supposed to be policemen, right? But who have actually committed extrajudicial killings in the name of, security or what have you. And then the state government, the state police commissioner, and a few others also discovered another spot where they believed that there is an organ harvesting, procedure going on in that place. It's a mortuary, but the corpses without organs. So there are those who have said that if you go to Tiger Base in Owerri, like if you come back alive, you may actually never remain the same again. And also, it is a place where they have accused them of, after abducting young, people from the eastern part of Nigeria, and they are, abducted and locked up in that Tiger Base. So they could have them and their organ. They could have their organs, extracted, and then get killed. So when their government announced that they found this mortuary with lots of corpses, unidentified corpses, but their organs were all gone. So connecting the dots, right, also exposed the mischaracterization of the people, the armed terrorists, I call them, the criminals operating in the eastern part of Nigeria, and how much they are pretty much like linked to, or should I say, how much the supposed security agents themselves are so much involved in the insecurity with the mischaracterization, wherever news that comes from the eastern part of Nigeria, the media wants you to believe that that is done by the IPOB, for those of you who are like the anti-IPOB. The issue of cultism is also a menace, although the issue of the Fulani terrorism and other terrorism have been like occupying the front pages of everyday dailies in Nigeria. However, in that same country, especially in the southern part of Nigeria, including the eastern part and Niger Delta, as we call them, the south, the menace of courtism, court war, where young people, and not so young people, right, have been involved in violence, where they have been like not just killing themselves and their members, including attacking communities where they believed their own targets were being shielded, right? This is also another problem that once or whenever something like this happens, right, their media are quick to announce that, it was unknown gunmen, mischaracterization. But fair enough, for those who are very much versed in the happenings in the eastern part of Nigeria, and those who care to actually be honest as well, right, they will continue to like point these abnormalities out, and those who are using their own positions for cover up. So what happened in Anambra? A court war, right? Something they said has been going on for a while. However, until the tragedy that took place last weekend. A multi kind of like planned attacks, which also targeted a church. Let me say the name of that church in Lilu, by the way, St. Andrew's Anglican Church, Isiokwe, in Lilu community, right? Ihiala local government area of Anambra State. So the news then was that the pastor, should I say the head of the church, his wife, and then others were killed. But first, the church, but that wasn't the only place the attack took place. They also went to another part of the same area where it's called the Afo Nofia community, so to say, right? And then another 4 people got killed there. A court war, right? Up to this moment, there's not a single arrest so far, right? But we're going to start with that. Let's start with the church attack. That was reported earlier. That was reported last night in Lilu, put it that way.
Sir, may we know while you are here this afternoon, what's the purpose of your coming to?
Now, when they start why these people supposed to back the point.
Now, with this one, we have lost two vehicles now, and a machine, motorcycles. This is the pastor's house. I was burned down and razed to ashes. And I still think that the cars also burned down. Oh, Jesus. This is the pastor's car. Burned down. Ukochuku's car. Burned to ashes and building. Let's see. It's quite unfortunate that at this time in our community, when we are trying to see that we regain back our community, things like this are happening. It's quite unfortunate. It's quite very, very unfortunate. Quite unfortunate. It's the compound.
So here is my own kind of like argument. Most of the time when these attacks are taking place, I would expect there will be some SOS, save our soul messages sent out, probably to the next community or to the next town, where they themselves could raise like sort of like an awareness where the security agents will at least end up engaging the criminals. But when you look at all these attacks, when you look at all of these things, how they happen, right? Apart from the fact that some said most of these attacks happens in, remotest of the remotest communities, right? However, you realize that most of these attacks actually last so long, for hours, and they do them with so much impunity. Like there's no one challenging them. There was no counter force coming after them because they're not expecting one, right? So court war. These days, right, most of those who are holding political offices in Nigeria, either by appointment or by election, right? We've had many of them who are like members of all these court groups, and they give cover to so many of them. So when that incident happened, right, the first media, what was like a media saturation at the time was that unknown gunmen, characterizing it in that way. And every time they say unknown gunmen is to shield the real criminals, right? Because they know that unknown gunmen at that point, you have been psychologically, kind of like a programmed to believe that unknown gunmen simply means it must be IPOB. But behind that, that's what I meant by the mischaracterization, which is like giving cover to the real criminals. Do you get me now? Give cover to the real criminals to continue to perpetrate the crime while their media mischaracterized it. So the police came out and said, well, this is actually a court war between these two court groups. And they have been at it now for more than a week. Some are saying that they've been at it now for years anyway. But the violent part of it that is now erupting, right, is basically something that started like a week ago. Their police said that. Other eyewitnesses at the second attack, like second scene of attack. This is not the Lilu, sorry. This one is not the what do you call the Lilu Isiokwe attack now, right? But another place in the same area, so to say, not like the church now, but another place. And sadly, most of their victims, or not even most, all of their victims are innocent people that just got caught in their crossfire. So, but no arrest is made. Like many like that. Because when you go back on and start digging, you realize that the perpetrators have their own backers who are indeed, in government. It's sad, right? But when you start linking it up, you get what I mean. Then it all go back to the same set of people who have access to all these weapons. No investigation or nothing. It's similar to the kidnapping of school children, which they have now normalized, especially in the last 10 years of Nigeria. So to me, I'm always like, when people get kidnapped, for example, not even the school children now, when people get kidnapped all over the country, you get those who come out to tell you the stories. They will tell you those who kidnapped them, sir, who were kidnapped by this Fulani terrorist, or were kidnapped by this Yoruba kidnappers, terrorists. They will tell you. And I would expect that there's something called debrief or debriefing that they call it, where after the incident of abduction or kidnapping, whether it is mass abduction or singular abduction, right? So I would expect that whether ransom was paid or they were rescued and the kidnappers were kind of like captured or killed, right? I would expect something like the brief, where the victims are they have sat down and questioned in such a way to have the details of their experience. I don't think that's the same in Nigeria. So few of them will tell us their stories on social media, right? And then you're like, this data was supposed to be with the government that would then know that, okay, the characters, the survivors of this terrorism or this abduction, right? This was their own experience. So that's how you're going to then trace what is called the pattern, right? And then you can build your counter-terrorism, whatever, on that. But no, they are the same people that will tell you that they rescued school children or they rescued, abducted the people. And you're like, rescue or negotiated their release. That's kind of like two different things, right? If you rescue them, that means the perpetrators, their kidnappers, have either been killed or captured to face justice. But nobody talks about the kidnappers anymore. Politicians have taken over the whole thing that those who are security experts that are supposed to actually investigate crime to prevent reoccurrence of that, They went to Lilu, right? Attacked the church, burned the properties, burned their cars, and then they killed the pastor, killed his wife, went into town again and killed another 4 people. That's crime. That those places are crime scene. So the security agents by then should have actually like started, speaking to the eyewitnesses and picking up all the evidences that could help them, right? Link some of these, incidents, link them together, build what could be the pattern, and then go after them genuinely. But that would be me watching too much, what do you call it, war film, or the investigative series, you will say. But it's a common sense thing because in real life, these guys are trained to do this. But the problem is that the politicians who are mostly corrupt and criminal, right, have kind of like, usurped the supposed constitution, right, or the constitutional like power given to the same security guys or security agents. Now they dominate the whole thing, they direct it, and everybody's in this mess of speculation. And the criminals, the real criminals, they get away with it because nobody is actually looking for them. There's this one reported from a road in Enugu. This is a pure case of armed robbery, you will say, right? Now, we barely talk about that too. Different kind of criminality going on, right? Different segment of your security agencies or what have you were actually established and paid to do this particular job. But no, everyone is probably like drowned in the hunt for the attention for different things than the real job that they are meant to really do. Security agents. Now, nobody really probably talks about the armed robbery or armed robbers and what they still do. I don't think we really talk much about that anymore. Because right now, if you are driving on the Nigerian road, right, and you suddenly hear, bah, boom, bah, there's a chance that you'll be praying that they should be armed robbers and not be kidnappers. That's the situation we found ourselves. But yeah, this happened.
Abraham, robbery case. What's today's date? 6th. Video everybody. Madam, are you hot? Cover this side. Everything. Video everything is on. Video every video. Where are you? Just on in town. You also gonna come. Eba now. Okay, sir.
Always use your headlamp. Always use your headlamp. Once you see the block, cover from the beginning to the end. The block. You do this thing very well, Abraham. You do this thing very well.
Okay. These people are coming out from inside bush. The people they attacked. They are coming out inside bush. See, this person is down. Oga, Alpha, are you okay? Huh? You are not okay.
As they block the road. As they block, they take their time and block everywhere.
This people waste time, Ghana.
You see road block.